Hello everyone. I'm Ishita. I lead the community at Rise, and today we're here for the D2C Festive program session. We started the D2C Festive program mainly to support D2C founders build better and succeed during the festive season. We've got 10 plus sessions over the month with one of a whole set of experts from the ecosystem on different topics. Today, we're here with Pratik Gupta, who is going to be doing a session on Marketing 101 for the festive season. Pratik is the founding partner of Foxy Moron and Zoomedia. He started off Foxy Moron in 2008 when he was just 19 after bringing on Foxy Moron into one of the top digital agencies in the country. He continuously began molding the agency in the direction of single service providers that could address the needs of a brand at across stages. Today, we see that Zoom Media is a full service network with seven agency brands and has worked with some of our favorite um, brands and companies across the country and world, from the ICC World Cup to Hindustan Lever, Netflix, Geo Hotstar, and a lot more. His philosophy is to work with clients as business partners. Under Pratik's leadership, Zoom Media is expanding globally, even to North America, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. He's also a serial entrepreneur, now launching a new venture called Serve Society, which will offer luxury sports facilities across India. So today we're going to hear Pratik share, of course, a lot around Marketing 101 in the festive season, but also his insights as a founder. So he is one of you. Pratik, over to you to take our founders through your experience and insights for this festive season.
Thanks, Ashita. Wow, that was a lot that you said about me. But like Ashita said, more than anything else, I'd like to believe I'm one of you. And that's the kind of space that I want to occupy in today's session as well. I'm very happy if there are questions that you would like to ask while I'm presenting things. And Ishita, I don't think I'll be able to see it, but if you can see it and you find something relevant, happy to pop it up right in the middle, answer a few of those questions. Like Ashita said that. I do run the largest network of independent agencies in the country, and therefore I've had the privilege of working with brands that come in from a startup format to brands that have existed for 20 to 30 years. While there are very different objectives that each of the brands are actually going out to chase, the fundamentals continue to keep remaining the same, right? With founders, primarily, especially working between one round of funding to the other round of funding. And I always keep joking about how one of the biggest tasks that a founder has is to continuously keep raising funding and yet, be razor sharp and focused on the things that they need to deliver. They often lack a community support that continues to help them in their quest. I believe that single founders are superhumans, right? I don't think I can build anything myself, and the intent of today is to just make you see a few of those pieces that help move you in the direction of what you need to do during festive. And yeah, I mean, very simple agenda. We're going to try and set a context as to why festive has become such an important period of time for a majority of the brands that we're working with. We've done a little bit of the how in terms of some of the playbook moves that you can look at, and most importantly, the approach that we see, right? And this is something that we're seeing collectively across the board, where festive seems like a make or break period for a majority of the founders. So um, they're almost approaching it with a lot more desperation as opposed to a lot more authenticity in terms of the product, right? And what are the few things that you can do to avoid that? So we'll just start off with the why, and like I said, please just ask questions. Eshta, please help me as and when you find something relevant. Just some big numbers, right? Like, and these numbers are things that you should understand in the context of how people are spending their money and time during the festive season. 91% of the people during festive are shopping, right? They're definitely spending time with friends and family, right? 45% of people are hosting at home. right? Which means that the Instagram comes to their home in general, right? Like the best version of themselves, the best version of their homes, the best version of their life, the best version of what they're able to offer, right? 45% of the people who are now away from family are also traveling. They're also using the long breaks that are available to spend money on traveling, and therefore traveling accessories, the kind of money that they're spending on booking tickets or to booking the right kind of experiences becomes important. 60% people are spending money on cleaning, renovating, and decorating, right? Especially around Diwali, which is also a very big cultural truth. Um, a lot of this part of the category is where you see a lot of premiumization happening. You see a lot of people spending time before they're spending money to curate all the decisions that they want to make. Uh, of course, they are going and trying new restaurants, but they're also trying new foods, right? Like, so they are happy to experiment. They're happy to go to your next matcha bar, happy to carry that protein water that I saw in the comments of one of the founders over here. And obviously, gifting is massive. Now, just by all of these things, you're able to look at each of your individual products and try and slot them in any of these categories and try and now understand and assess how a person who may buy your brand may look at your brand differently from a grifting point of view, maybe looking at your brand differently from a premiumization point of view, maybe looking at your brand from, oh, I'm being so healthy because I'm going out and trying new things. How can I add back the health factor into this sort of a conversation, right? These become essential and important things that people need to look at, right? And if I was to go about what people think about festivals in India, festival is not about tradition. I mean, it's not just about tradition, right? It is about that release after restraint. And I think this is very, very important because a majority of India's population is going towards this premiumization zone, right? The availability of options, the consistent catalog that Instagram or YouTube has become, how you are seeing other people utilize this. This is the release that most people are looking at, right? Whether it's the bonus that they're receiving, whether it's the money that they're looking at spending, whether it's the time that they're spending with their families in a in a consolidated format allows for this release to happen. And this indulgence that they usually look at from an Indian mindset point of view comes to them without guilt, because everybody turns around and says, "Ki I'm spending during Diwali, I'm spending during festive, I'm spending during the year end." It's okay. And more importantly, this is the time when a lot of these people are actually finding time to spend in that whole tribe ecosystem that they've built along themselves. And I'm saying tribe purposely because it could be family for some, it could be friends for some, it could be people that they're traveling for some, right? And this whole sense of belonging comes alive during this period of festive. And this period, therefore, allows them to make the other decisions, right? This mindset allows them to make these sorts of decisions. So again, these things become very important emotional hooks that you guys must look at when you are marketing for your product, right? So ideally, right, our focus during the season should not be to sell. It is to invite people into our brand world. And once they feel like the brand belongs to them, we will be the brand that they invite into their lives and their homes. Right? There are a lot of these examples that I can play or I can leave over here for you. Right? But the intent of Cadbury trying to
Big
do this
businesses and
with
brands
Shahrukh,
that suffer.
right? Where Shahrukh becomes the brand ambassador for a majority of these brands, is almost inviting these people to make Cadbury front and center for themselves, right? Like, and this availability of technology at scale, the ability for this technology to make Cadbury become a part of their overall conversation on an everyday basis, right? It makes such a personal connection with those shop owners and with the people that they're discussing. I mean, and the consumers, that the brand no longer has to become an important part of your life. It has already become an important part of your life, right? So I'll leave these examples, and when Eshta can send this to you, like you guys can go over it. What happens today is that a lot of us are trying to over optimize the bottom funnel. What we're not understanding is that everybody is working towards festive, which means that right now, most people are in the quest of building discovery for their products, right? So, what I'm seeing today will become a part of my cart tomorrow, right? And that tomorrow becomes festive. So, today is actually the best time for you to look at the top funnel, to look at how you're able to make consumers understand the use case of your product, so that tomorrow when festive is around the corner and you're actually looking at sale and conversion and looking at the moment where the wallet becomes a lot more open, right? The person already knows about your brand, already knows about your use case, and therefore that nudge of whether it's the discount, whether it's the influencer, or whether it's a pack or a package or whatever it is that you are selling to them becomes the real reason why people go out there and buy, right? So this plan for shopping and this data point that you're able to see over here, right, is telling you that you will see that this planning phase is on right now, and this makes it that much more important for you to start to build awareness today so that the conversion can happen towards the end. A lot of the founders that I speak to are over optimizing for just the bottom funnel towards the festive end, right? But what they don't understand is that the festive mindset has already begun setting in lots of people's heads, and we have to take advantage of that mindset, and that mindset will really allow for that eventual sale to happen when five other brands in your same category are going after the same consumer. So start planning for this, and I will show you examples of what we need to do from a how point of view to plan in this sort of a direction, right? What we are basically seeing also is that across a lot of the categories, festive contributes to 40%. This is something that we're understanding. But what we're also seeing today is that a majority of the people are spending money on themselves, right? This for me, when I was looking at these data points for festival, also was a massive takeaway, because we usually think of festive and we usually think of festivals as a, like, what am I doing for people, what am I doing for friends, what am I doing for family, what am I doing for loved ones. But a majority of the kind of purchases that we are seeing from people is happening because they want to fuel their self aspiration. And when you are spending money for yourself, you are seeing that there is an increase in the spends that you are doing towards yourself, which also means premiumization, moving up one category ladder, right? And making decisions which satiate a bigger need than what you actually have is something that you will see, right? One of the biggest examples for me is when the auto category put out a report recently, right? Back in the day, a majority of the cars that were bought at the base model, that was India, right? Today, there are two kinds of buyers. Everybody buys the base model because the base model is better than the top model of the car that they actually wanted to buy, or everybody buys the top model of the same car or top model minus one. The the middle sector of any car is not selling today, right? So India is in a massive premiumization space that it wants to occupy through its aspiration. So the if your brand is 500 bucks more expensive than the top version of the brand that they are considering, they may actually consider you. And if you think how I need to split my SKUs, right? The bottommost variant and the topmost variant, one minus one, is a variant that most people will buy into. Uh, what we are seeing is that these purchase factors become a very important part of what people are looking at, right? People during festive are definitely expecting discounts, right? But it is closely followed by brand. What I mean is that, like, just because you're giving a 60% discount but your brand is not in their consideration set, will they buy? The answer to the question is no, right? For a certain segment of audiences, cashback becomes important. For a certain segment of audiences, EMI becomes important, right? For a certain set of audiences, they continue to buy from your brand because the loyalty aspect is already put over there. But we need to be prepared to have conversations around the top three and definitely give them the convenience of the bottom four, right? So what I'm saying is that if we are doing awareness campaigns today, we must talk about product features. If we are building Amazon pages today, we must talk about product features. We must have our brand available with a lot of influencers today, so that when you actually push the discount during festive, you have the ability for the consumer to actually buy, right? The other three trends are one we've discussed, which is 70% of shoppers are open to premium buys, right? So that becomes an important part. The second part is that sustainability has become a big example where people are willing to pay a premium, not a ridiculous premium, right? If my brand costs 10 rupees more or 5 rupees more or 15% more or 20% more because of sustainability, they're willing to make that purchase. But if my brand is going to cost two times more because of sustenance, they're not going to be cutting that, or swiping their card. But more importantly, festive also allows you to occupy a mind space in the consumer's head that makes them want to buy from you again if you're in the category of repeat purchase, if the experience of buying has been positive, right? So while all of this is happening, the role reversal in our economy has happened, right? Back in the day, 10 years ago, when I was talking to a lot of the e-commerce ecosystems, the single thing that was spoken about is that, oh, 85 to 90% of all purchases are happening through men. While the real insight was that men were the people who had access to the cash or credit cards or debit cards or banking options, versus that has completely flipped in the next 10 years, right? Where women are becoming greater decision makers, and because they are taking the role and responsibility of expanding the categories, aspiration, lifestyle of a majority of households, whether it is them being at home unmarried and bettering the household experience of their family, or whether they are married, whether living alone or whether living with in-laws and bettering the experience of their family, right? They are the ones who are making these aspiration based decisions. They are the ones pushing category triggers higher, right? So even for a lot of the good to have products that are available, that are even being targeted at men, women become very, very important decision makers, right? So I'd urge all brands to look at how can they appeal to the woman for products that they think a man wants to use, or continue to hammer down the proposition for women so that your product becomes a part of their consideration set, right? So we've spoken about how it is not only a discount season, right? There are many other things that different personas of people actually want. And we've broken this down into cohorts, which is also something that I recommend you do for each of your brands, so that you're able to understand a clear insight for what these people will want to do, right? So you go back to Hitesh, right, who's like an essential shopper, right? He's a tier two kind of a personality. This guy is driven by affordability, right? He doesn't care about impulse buys. He wants deals and he wants low prices. He wants cash on delivery. These are the things that Hitesh ideally wants, right? So is your brand, if it's targeting him, being able to cater to all of these parts of distribution, of like finance, product obviously, and what is the deal obviously, right? Then there is Akash, who is basically, he's a smart buyer. He's going to spend a decent chunk of money between 15 to 30,000 rupees, but for him, because he wants to plus one on his aspiration, EMIs becomes an important part, right? So how is the product being perceived by people that he is looking at or she is looking at, and therefore the features, how does it give him a better, well, leg up in terms of his status, and therefore how can the EMI enable this for him, right? Uh, Suman is an optimizer, so she likes the regional content, the bundle offers, the price-led sort of cues, right? For her, buying more at a cheaper price is a big victory that she's going at. And lastly, is somebody like a Ria, right? Who's always looking for upgrades. She wants to see aesthetic. She wants to be able to see what this brand is going to be able to do for my entire lifestyle, right? And therefore, we need to talk to this consumer. And I hard recommend every brand who's available over here to basically know what these cohorts are, know what these triggers are, because these triggers go beyond you just putting a label or discount. Every product doesn't need to have aesthetic. Every product doesn't need to have, like a cash on delivery focus, right? You need to know who your buyer is and therefore optimize for them, right? And today, putting all of these together, basically social media has become your showroom, right? This is a showroom that is already working. This is a showroom that, well, if you're spending money on performance marketing, you're already paying rent for, right? But at the end of the day, we need to ensure that your products are available, your products are discoverable, they are able to register about your product before they're able to go into a buying decision, right? So start your audition, right? You're already auditioning with these people, right? You are going after these different types of people who are like experience seekers or convenience savvy, or who are the traditional enthusiasts. Now there is this third category of people that also opens up during the festive season, who loves how products and, like other things that usually you don't see as a part of their ritual become a part of their ritual. So how can your product become a part of that ritual? How can the product become a part of the festivities? And that really makes these impulse behaviors come together. Obviously the purchase factors that we've dealt with previously continue to exist, right? So basically what we need to ensure is that across all of our platforms, we're able to work with the multiple different customer journeys that the consumer is going through, right? We will see that this they will research on mobile, they will discover on video and social. The messaging needs to be the same, the messaging needs to be consistent, and the offtakes need to be consistent, right? What are the two macro shifts that we must look at, right? Is that there is going to be mobile first dominance. A lot of these decisions, a lot of these purchases will happen on mobile. And even though it seems like the most obvious things, majority of people are not optimized for mobile, right? So how can we close that customer journey loop on mobile, right? Quick commerce, if you have ins to it, and that's a whole separate conversation of how do I get into quick commerce. But if you have ins into quick commerce, a lot of the, oh I forgot, oh my god, I have to go to this person's house decisions will all be made here. And therefore how your product is seen here, what the customer journey is, becomes that much more important. The second thing is that regionalization and personalization will matter. So if you already have a decently big sized customer base, how can I use CRM? How can I use contextual advertising to people so that they are able to associate, right? And if you are building campaigns which have emotion, till the time it's not seen in distribution, which is memes, which is influencers, right? Has that content really even triggered an emotion? So, along with building content, you have to have the ability to build distribution. And that becomes the most important part of it. And we've just built a very simple framework of how you need to look at festive, right? We've spoken about ease, we've spoken about emotion, and therefore we've spoken about engagement, right? So these three E's become the centrifugal part of your strategy towards festive, right? And basically, we're saying that earlier people used to search, and now algorithms are determining where your product is going to be and how your product is going to be perceived, right? So before I move to playbook and what are the things that you can do basis this, I'm happy to take any questions that you guys may have. Ishta, if you can chime in if there have been questions, or if people want to type in some questions, I'm happy to answer it.
There's one that has come up, Pratik, that if you are a new marketplace and you're coming up with, say, boxes, do you think we should first invest in this? invest in marketing, and what should be the targeted budget?
That's actually a very specific question, right? I go back to the kind of structures that I have put out there. It depends on the cohort of the audience that you're going after,
Mhm.
right? Also, when you go into a new marketplace and if you speak to the representatives of that marketplace, they will usually tell you what is the average order value. They will usually tell you if people like to purchase in bundles, right? If you think during festive they will purchase more, there is validity in you giving bundled offers so that they're able to purchase a bigger amount in one go. But this intelligence is something that you will be able to see when you start to build discovery today, right? You can run small ads with bundles and see how people are responding. Run small ads you know um, with smaller SKUs of the same product and see how they're working. Uh, and it depends on product to product, category to category. So I can't generalize this, but there is a lot of intelligence that will be available with the people in which marketplace you are actually registering, right? So Amazon usually does it, or a Swiggy, or a I mean, basically any of your quick commerce platforms will usually tell you how to approach it. If there's something specific you can give me information of, I will be better equipped to answer it.
Another question that's come up, Pratik, is that can you shed a little more light on
Can I spend?
distribution during marketing?
Okay, yeah, sure, 100%. Distribution is pretty much what are you doing on memes, right? Like some of us are just discovering new things that are happening in the marketing realm because there's a meme about it, right? Some of us are looking at shows because there's a meme about it, right? So does it even exist if there isn't a meme about it, right? So meme becomes a very cheap, easy, organic way of reaching out to people. Influencers become very, very important from a distribution point of view. Partnerships, PR, right? Look at your LBB onlines, look at your like places who create these 10 like outfits to look at, 10 health drinks to look at, all of these things become very important distribution piece that allow for brands to be discovered before people make purchase decisions. So that's what I mean by distribution.
Our next one is, what kind of storytelling works best for food brands during
I'll answer that
festive
question in my
season?
playbook. I'll answer that, and if it's not answered, I'll answer
Perfect.
it again.
I think we can go ahead, and then there are a couple of questions coming which we can pick up on the go.
Supreme. Okay, cool. Uh, yeah, just a quick thumbs up so that people have understood the strategic approach. I don't know if they can they do that? Ishta, like can they like use emojis or whatever?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
If the strat part of it is clear, right? So that then we can move into like some of the playbook moves and then move from there into some actionables, right? A lot of the questions I also saw wanted action, which I will show here.
And
Okay.
founders, beyond the thumbs up, we also have a bunch of other emojis. So feel free to put
Yeah, yeah,
in
whatever.
some hearts, some rockets, some festive ones as and when the session is going on, so that we know we've got humans and not AI avatars.
Yes.
Over to you.
Thank you. Um, so the first part of the festive playbook, right, is own discovery. While there is a whole team that will be focused on product, discount, everything. Understand that a majority of the decisions for your brands are being made now. They will not be made during the clutter of everybody targeting the same person through multiple places, right? Let's look at Eshta as an example. Beauty brands, lifestyle brands, clothing brands, coffee brands, restaurant brands, um, I don't know, like travel brands. Everybody is going after her profile. At that point, she is getting so much of communication of brands doing Diwali campaigns, of India probably playing a cricket tournament, of like 100 different pieces of communication because it's the most busy period for any brand. What we need to realize is that if you don't optimize now, You will not build intent. And then we will continue to have this conversation that I gave a 50% discount, but my product didn't move. But you've not built awareness, you've not built consideration, right? So, are you building these intent based hubs, whether it's festival landing pages and not random pages, right? A festival landing page needs to answer festival questions, right? If I'm selling if I'm using coffee in gifting as an example, because I remember reading that one of the founders is in that space, right? Then if I haven't researched about the coffee back in the day, how will I make a decision when it's available? Why a certain kind of coffee or why an array of coffees will allow for this gift pack to make you look great in the eyes of the people that you're putting a gift to, right? That question needs to be answered. Do I buy coffee from Ghana? Do I buy coffee from India? Do I buy coffee from Europe? Right? Why are those questions not answered by influencers already? Why are those answers not put onto your pages already? So whether it's you curating your Instagram feeds, whether it's you curating your your Amazon landing pages, or whether it's you creating your quick commerce ecosystem, we have to ensure that we are building festive landing hubs. Think of search, think of the questions that people are asking, think of the product information that they require, think of how prominent the bundles can be, how prominent the discounts can be, how prominent the cash on delivery can be, how prominent the EMIs can be. All of this needs to be accessible to make the intent of the customer high. And then, whenever the customer wants to convert into a buying cycle, all this information is available. Yeah. The second part is that, like I said, look at search. Today, search has changed completely, right? Chat GPT is a different search game altogether. But even on Google, when I'm asking questions, or on Amazon, when I'm putting over there, am I optimized for my category? Am I optimized for my product? Am I optimized for the questions that people are asking? Can that one video that I can put on Amazon on the product place answer the question that I'm most likely to ask? Right? Can I see an influencer wear it? Can I see an influencer use it? Right? The search part will allow you to organically build traction when most people are only spending money on it. And the search starts with very simply naming the image that you upload of your product and not calling it image1.png, right? Just so that Google knows what is the category, what is the, what are the tags that it needs to look at. And this becomes very important because in the clutter, these are the things that save you. How are you optimized for voice search, especially if you're operating in a category which is not tier one urban, great to have products? A lot of the people are using voice as a search enablement. What are you doing over that, right? And post festive, also look at how generative search is eventually affecting your brand, right? But that's something that will take a long time. Don't try and answer that question today, right? Simple basics. Are your reels shoppable? Right? Very simple. You are running content, you are working with influencers, you are doing collab posts, right? You are using technology. A lot of the new consumer based websites, which are e-commerce focused, that we are seeing are pretty much an influencer content piece, but a shoppable reel. Your link in bio in Instagram can make it shoppable if you can't native Instagram shop it. But the ability for quick discovery after you've been able to build that intrigue needs to exist in the strategy that you have, right? Very good example of Mintra Shop the Look works all the time. You're always able to upsell one other product, right? It's like going for a haircut, and the hairdresser always gives you a mousse that you never need, and you take it back home, right? So how can I increase the average order volume for my customer, and what can I do, right? Let AI do some of your heavy lifting. A lot of us are trying to over optimize by just putting effort, but there are lots of these AI based ecosystems that are available at Google, that are even available inside of Meta, right? Performance Max is one of them, right? It basically takes the cohort of the people that are shopping, makes this content available to them. You give them multiple, you know, text, voice, you give them multiple creatives, multiple offers, and they continue to keep optimizing for different cohorts who are buying differently, right? So at all points in time, we don't have to have the answer to all questions, right? As we have seen in the last 1 year, let AI do a lot of your work. So seek solutions that allow for computers to start answer and algorithm based questions versus you trying to have answers to everything, right? The second thing is that you have to ensure consistent customer journey. If I am seeing one thing on Amazon, seeing another thing on Instagram, seeing a third thing on quick commerce, it becomes very easy for the customer to just turn around and say, I don't know what they're trying to optimize for, or I'm very confused with the messaging, right? Focus on a few parameters, but ensure that they are the same across all of your touch points. Because if you look at this data point, 61% of shoppers interact with 5+ touch points in their online purchase journey. And you will go and figure out if Amazon is selling it cheaper, if Instamart is selling it cheaper, somebody else is giving you a discount code on their YouTube video. Ensure that what is available in one place is available in all places, so that the customer journey becomes easier and the confusion becomes a lot lesser, right? This is a lot more about building that story, building that desire, building the want for the product, right? uh, Ensure that a lot of the small little things that you are doing are rooted in rituals, right? Like if you saw what Google Pay also tried to do, they tried to get you to collect diyas, right? Or if Google Pay, like anybody who's trying to do a spin the wheel, right, try to make it a rangoli, right, try to contextualize it so that that offtake becomes a lot more. One of the things that we are seeing across the board, cashbacks are not $100 anymore, they're 101, they're 501, right? Automatically these are the small little things that make the consumer believe that you get the context, you understand the culture within which you are basically trying to operate, right? This becomes supremely important, especially across influencers, especially across the kind of content that we're doing to build this desire. Put them as a part of your festive rituals already. Cleaning, upgrade, betterment, better experience for guests, better gifting, better self-worth. All of these need to become a part of the festive ritual that you're already seeing, right? Use your creators as affiliate marketing people. Use nano creators a lot more than you want to use, macro and A grade, A level sort of creators. These are the people which create believability for your brand, right? And therefore, once people start to believe that this is a part of your ritual, it becomes a lot easier for them to make this decision when they have to make this decision, right? I think this is critical. Anything from your packaging that allows the greatest differentiation for you, start that today. Start that storytelling today. A lot of people who are gifting during these seasons are very focused on how this looks when it gets presented to the people that they are gifting. Or if I'm bringing this home, how does it better my stature in my own eyes or in the eyes of the society which is going to come into my house, right? So how can I use my packing or my packaging, right, to become my biggest media asset? Now, this becomes stuff that becomes shareable, right? Look at the agarbatti brands that have done it. Look at Bombay Sweet Shop that has done it, right? It's not always the product that makes you different, but the packet, the packaging, and how. If I am going to be 45% of the audience is going to gift, then my gift needs to look, feel, behave premium, and therefore this becomes the biggest focus area for founders to better their entire packaging game, right? Blinkit Zepto is a festival showroom. This is that crazy sale day where everybody is on it trying to find your product over their competitor's product, right? What are the SKUs that are available? What are the bundle packs that are available? People will buy more. They don't want to buy one bottle of anything right now, right? They want to buy 5, 7, 10, 12. So how can your bundles be a lot more alluring for those guys to to bring it? How does your design stand out, right? How are you able to again put some sense of festivity in the kind of creatives that you're putting out there, right? A plus content during festive and A plus content after festive are two very different things, right? This has to answer all of your questions through the funnel. Your awareness needs to happen here, your consideration needs to happen here, and your willingness to buy needs to happen here. It needs to answer all of your search queries. It needs to show how an influencer looks in it. It needs to show how an influencer is is using it. It needs to show the outtake that it gives you. This content needs to have the ability, if I was to read from the top to bottom, to either convince me or to not convince me to buy. So A plus content needs to be redone for festive. And this will create a better, well, buying rate or a buying proposition for the brands that we're going after. And if you are experimenting, no, experiment boldly. This is some stuff that we did. We took the World Cup to space, right? So if we wanted to launch the World Cup, we just said, okay, what is the most bold thing that we can do in your own category? It becomes share worthy. It becomes things that people look at saying, oh, must be a very big brand trying to do something in that sort of a case, right? So use newer technologies, AR try-ons, limited drops, right? AI generated personalization, festive art. If you're going for it, go for it, right? Then don't hold back, because this is the time where big, better, grand becomes a part of that part of the conversation, right? We spoke about this already, that emotion and amplification needs to go together, right? Even if people, I hate using this term, but if virality, I want my content to go viral is still a conversation that you're having, the least you need to do is give it legs. Influencers, nano influencers, micro influencers, meme pages, right? PR tie-ups, cross brand collaboration, they become very simple ways of distribution, right? There are categories that are adjacent to yours. So if you are a coffee category, can I talk to a coffee shop, which or a bagel shop, or a salad shop, and do something cross promotion worthy with them? Buy a bottle and get 10% discount over there. Good for them, good for you, right? You're not always competing with brands adjacent to you. How can you leverage that, right? And the bottom part of the conversation is on the conversion side, right? Make YouTube ads shoppable and not skippable, right? Mobile first stores, guys. With the number of like audits that we do, product is great, marketing is great, performance marketing is great, the load time of your content is just too high, and the same consumer is being bombarded, and if the page doesn't load, if the experience is not there, if the content is not there, well, they will just walk away, right? And that one shot, one opportunity that you had will completely go away. Second thing is, make it one tap. Make it like, I think Razorpay does it, no plugin here, but Razorpay does it, where it stores your credit card information, so you don't have to report your credit card. How can you optimize those small little things that make the purchase journey a lot easier, right? And eventually, while festive becomes a massive catchment area, what can we do to get them to keep coming back, right? Like, we had a data point which said that if they buy from you during festive, right, they will continue to keep buying from you if the experience was good. How can I put referral cards? How can I put 20% offs? What can I put as a part of their packaging that makes them want to come back? How can I get them into my WhatsApp funnel, right? And get them to have a conversation, because I may have spent $100 in trying to get this person to become my customer, but now I can spend far little money on WhatsApp, make it conversational, make it personal, right? Personalization, everybody is talking about, but nobody understands the best CRM funnel for us is actually WhatsApp. And what we can do on WhatsApp to get them to have that lifetime value of a customer that usually people talk about. We spoke about the ability for CRM for, offer cards and how you're able to reach out to these people, whether it's on SMS, whether it's on email, become that much more important so that the loop is closed. If you're going after a customer, whether the customer decides to buy or doesn't buy, you need to close the loop of the fact that I have tried everything to get this customer to buy from me. And the biggest thing that I would say that we need to spend time on is to look at what your reputation is, right? Because almost what tends to happen is we're not responding to comments, we're not looking at ratings. We are pretty much focused on taking a message and putting it outside. But what's happening is that a majority of the decision making is saying, dude, great product, maybe too expensive, chal, I may consider buying it. But if I go down, read the reviews, if I see the rating, if I see what people are saying, I'd just be like, chalo yaar, I can skip this, because if they're not focused on getting this done, then I don't want to probably buy it. So start cleaning up today. Start going and bettering your ratings. Start going and responding to a lot of the messages. Start taking care of customer complaints. The problem that we face is that most customer complaints are not even acknowledged, forget addressed. You may turn around and say, I have solved it at the back end, but to the other customer who's coming there, he or she has not seen that. Your reputation matters because people are making a purchase without touching, feeling your brand. So, what can we do to clean this up completely? And finally, what we need to look at is that uh, we can't be pushy during festive. There is nothing more turning off than us trying to just push offers down people's throat. We have to have that authenticity. We have to have the ability to become a part of that cultural nuance that we're talking about, and then be remembered even after the people make a purchase from you, right? So, what is this festive shift that we are looking at doing? And these lines become that much more important, right? Is that discount is not the only thing that's your message. The culture is the context through which this discount is giving, right? Transaction cannot be your only goal. Your relationship with the customer needs to be the biggest outcome that you're able to get, right? Don't generically talk about what your product can do. You have to talk about how the product can become a part of a ritual in the festive and then become a habit for the customer, right? Don't do one size fits all advertising, do persona led invitations. Don't think of short term quick hacks. Understand that you have to continue to register in the customer's memory. So what can you do from a long term memory point of view, right? There is enough and more brands who use campaigns as noise. Use campaigns as touch points which allow for the customer journey to seamlessly continue. Don't get into price wars. Start talking about value and what value the product is going to add, right? Don't only chase reach, chase resonance, right? So even when you are running ads, performance is not the only answer. Till you don't solve for awareness, till you don't solve for consideration, performance will continue to struggle, right? You don't need to be seen everywhere. Wherever you are, you need to make an impact, right? And don't have sales driven urgencies, have meaning driven participation in the consumer's life. If you're able to put a majority of these things as a part of content, media, CRM, data, the A plus content we are creating, performance marketing that you're doing, you will start to see a seismic shift in the way customers look at you, right? And basically, eventually, we are saying that the desperate seller gets ignored and the authentic inviter gets remembered. Be the authentic inviter, right? This is a little bit about us, but what we are going to do is that we are leaving behind credits, 10 credits that anybody wants to avail with me, with our teams for one-on-one sessions where we can help you move in this direction of being festive ready. Yeah, that's it. That's it from us in terms of like basically being able to put it in very few slides what I think you guys need to do. Obviously, we can't talk about specific brands, specific campaigns because each one of you come from a very, very different place. But Yeah, happy to take questions. I don't know if they can ask questions, Ishta, or they have to type questions, but happy to take them and move from there.
Great. Thank you so much for this, Pratik. I've also made a bunch of notes. You can feel free to stop sharing your screen. That way, they'll be able to see us also better. What I will do is I will pick up questions. There are a lot. So, founders do know that Pratik and team are super active on social media. No, needless to say that it is a very strong aspect of what they do and very, very approachable, especially on LinkedIn and the email ID that they shared. For anyone who's part of Rise, we will also be adding these credits to the office hours by tomorrow. So we'll be able to give you all access to everybody um, that has joined in. Today's session was an overarching theme, and if you wait till the end of the session, we will tell you we have something in store. Some of you have already got invites also for the deep dive sessions. But let me pick up a couple of questions that are there on the chat and let's look at them. So, how do you manage marketing or ad spends considering multiple brands scale up for the same cohorts of you and users and costs might shoot up, especially in the F&B space?
So I'll tell you what, right? Like, see, at the end of the day, each of the platforms are designed to get more out of you, right? Now, when they are also going after the same cohort of audiences, they are going to scale up ads. Sorry, sorry. They're going to scale up ads that are actually ticking off a multiple boxes that we're talking about, right? Like if I'm the customer that everyone is going after, and if I'm interacting with a certain kind of ads, they will show it to people in my circles, then they will show it to people in your circles, right? So the quality of ad, and that's a metric in each of the ad platforms that you also have, becomes that much more important. Your brand, your product, your ad has to stand out, has to solve a lot of the questions that we asked, right? Is it becoming a part of the ritual? Is it becoming a part of the need? And therefore, your ad starts to perform a lot better. It's not always that the ad gets more expensive. In lots of the cases in Festive, we've seen the ads getting a lot cheaper as well because your ad quality has increased, right? But that's a parameter that a lot of brands don't focus on. So if you focus on both the qualitative and the quantitative aspect, you'll be able to find that bridge. Bad ads will cost more. Great ads cost lesser. It's a fact. So let's try and optimize the creative quality as well, and then this is not as much a problem.
Got it. I'm going to pick up a couple of more questions that when we're talking about creatives, is the new targeting, which is the ASC campaign, automations across Meta, Google, etc., do you think targeting cohorts is possible and how?
Uh, It is, but it's not perfect yet, right? Like they ask for, and what happens in today's creatives that you're sending to these, what we call DCOs, which are the dynamic creative optimizers, is that their output is not perfect. But what is good about these is that because a lot of people are not using it, there is a lot of inventory that is available to these creators themselves. So it can become a good hack for people to use. Uh, but we've not seen considerable better or considerable worse performance using these methods. But the new AI based tools that each of these platforms are making available are actually doing a very, very good job. But a lot of the marketeers and a lot of the performance marketing, well, experts as they call themselves, are not using these tools as effectively as they should.
Got it. Moving a little from a brand to a marketplace perspective, that for marketplaces right now, should they focus on content and ads, or are there other ways that they should target the festive season?
No, the content needs to feed into your advertising. It's not one without the other. If I am spending money to get people to come to a destination, that destination should have all the content that is required to make a full funnel decision. See, when you're in marketplaces, the typical awareness, consideration, and like buying funnel doesn't exist in the same format. You may become aware of your brand after there is consideration to buy. It doesn't always happen awareness, consideration, and sale, right? So you need to be able to answer all those questions, whether it's through influencers, whether it's through content, whether it's through a plus content, doesn't matter. You need to be content ready for your ads to perform. It's one before the other, it's not one for the other.
Got it. I'm gonna pick up another question. Also, founders, please be aware, I am reading through all of them, so don't repeat questions on the chat. It just makes it very crowded, and I might miss out on a question. If you've asked it, we will definitely reach it if we have enough time. Going to another one, what kind of I think you did mention the storytelling aspect during your playbook. How should a new brand compete with established players in the premium market and develop an edge in this festive season?
You already have an edge over an established player because they have too many rules to marketing. They have too much of structure, they have too much of they have too many like lines that have been drawn within which they will market, which makes their marketing very predictable. Actually, because the big, like, I keep quoting this, right? The biggest reason that Minimalist was bought by HUL is not because of the revenues Minimalist is doing. The biggest reason Minimalist was bought by HUL because Minimalist can be as agile as they are, and HUL will never be as agile as Minimalist is, right? So if they want to build that founder mentality or that quickness mentality into a lot of the brands, that's the reason that Minimalist was bought, and that's the biggest edge that all of you sitting over here have. Today, a brick brand also has the same canvas as you have. If you are going after very, very detailed storytelling, very, like, look at the quality of the output that you're doing, your brand will travel, right? You don't necessarily need to spend you don't need to necessarily spend the same amount of money or the same amount of traction to get that outcome. A lot of brands who are in the premium sort of a space do much better than focused luxury brands. But India needs to do much better on luxury and much better on premium brands, because they are trying to sell premium brands with the same um formula of mass brands, because that's what we know how to sell. So if I'm going down this premiumization route, how I look at discounts, how I look at offers, how do I not over dilute my brand, what is the aesthetic, what is the look and feel, these are things that the founder needs to be like obsessed about. And if you're able to do that, then the message reaches the people that it has to reach. Hi Ashta, are you here?
Yes, just allow me to pick up the next question. So, this one is that what is your view on AI generated content? Has the consumer become aware? And does it take away from product or brand authenticity?
uh, ai makes your AI makes your content scalable. AI is still not the answer to content creation. AI requires context, and that context needs to come from you. If the context is strong enough, uh, if the if the reason for that content to exist is strong enough, I don't think the consumer cares unless it becomes unrelatable. But AI content is not perfect in itself today, right? Brands building brand guidelines to be within brand guidelines is very important. And actually, most brands are going outside of what they should be doing because AI is enabling them to create more content, which is wrong. because your brand consistency and brand messaging goes away. So I don't think the consumer cares if it's AI based content, and I don't think the consumer is even figuring out if it's AI based content. The content still needs to be authentic to your brand. Whether humans do it or AI does it, it doesn't matter.
Let me pick up the next question. How important is CRO and website optimization alongside performance marketing, and any recommendations?
It's as important as you dieting while you're exercising. If you want the best result, both need to be in check, right? Like exercise cannot take you as far as a diet can, and a good website and CRO is critical for any sort of performance marketing, right? Like I can name brands and brands and brands and brands and brands, great products, poor websites, doesn't work, right? And that is also the same with some of the checkout experiences, some of the experiences of having your card saved, some of the experiences of EMI options. All of these become that much more important for as few clicks for the customer to be able to check out, and more importantly, load times. And that's where it is. It's probably the most important thing.
It's time to bring in a little bit of a business question. So, Pratik, during festive, is it sustainable discounts which would not be profitable and wouldn't make unit economic sense, or should founders treat this more as sampling?
Uh, it depends brand to brand, right? Like honestly, uh it's too difficult to generically comment, right? Like there are so many brands who use loss leader products to to suck you into making other purchases or to getting you in there. If that's the strategy of your brand, then so be it. I'm usually never a fan uh of your unit economics not making sense, because then over a period of time, a little bit of too much of overspend, a little too less of overspend really moves your business into dangerous territories. So unless you have a loss leader product strategy which is accounted for in your P&L, aligned with your investors and other founders, etc., sure, it can happen. But really, it's not the best time for you to burn, because your cost of acquisition in this case is also very heavy, right? So like if something would cost you 100 rupees to acquire, it will cost you 120 rupees to acquire. If this is your strategy, then I would probably do it after after festive, where at least you can get the customer at 100.
Pratik, a couple of more questions that have come in, moving away from the entire consumer and D2C aspect. How would you suggest tech or consumer tech or SaaS brands leverage the festive season?
CRM and personalization, right? I think what is supremely important is that everybody has their emotions on their sleeve during this period of time, right? A check-in, like a warm greeting, a thoughtful gift, a thoughtful gesture, personalized messages really goes a long way, because it makes the other person believe that you have thought of them during the most important time in your year with your friends and your family, right? I think for for SaaS based companies, a lot of decision making is not happening during festive, right? Like everybody is in this festive mode. It's very different from the kind of core decision making that you will see there, right? But this is a great time to build deep relations, which allow for these things to bloom once the festive season is over. So that's your space to occupy with people. And success stories, right? So even like customer success stories and stuff like that, great, because you're almost celebrating other people. It's a very celebratory time. That's it's a I feel for you, I remember you, I celebrate you kind of a period for these companies, and that's the formula that you should usually use.
Completely. I'm going to pick up one last question before we wait for the following sessions to deep dive into a lot of these topics. But this one question that I think would be Important. Just allow me a minute. What kind of creators should be targeted, especially these days when everyone thinks they're a creator?
Yeah, whoever's asked this question, I can have a sidebar with you of what I think about the creator age, economy. And even though I'm in that business, I hate it. But the reality of the situation is that people with smaller following have a larger impact on the message and therefore should be used for consideration. People with large following with a sound media strategy should be used for awareness, right? And the people that you are using for consideration can also get you dark ads that you can run for performance. That's how I would structure it, right? And it's again a very specific answer for each brand, each category, and it depends. But if that's the thumb rule, right, nano and micro influencers do very well to deliver a message, right? Macro and whatever A grade influencers and people have different names for it do very well to deliver the brand. So it depends on what you're trying to do, but each one of them needs to have a media strategy backed by it. Messaging without distribution is pointless. So even when you're doing influencers, don't think of them as the distribution alone. You have to have a media strategy to back it.
Got it. Founders, thank and teams, thank you so much for joining in. I had launched a poll a couple of minutes ago. Please share your feedback. Pratik and the team at Zoom Media has made a lot of effort, spent a lot of time with us preparing for this session and hosting it with us. So feedback really helps our experts. Also, for a lot of questions that we might have not been able to take or that you might have, we have actually worked together with the team at Zoom Media and their agencies to have three deep dive sessions exclusively for you tomorrow. So, one is on branding videos and creatives that convert. The other one is actually on a D2C growth guide to influencers and mastering performance marketing. And the third is working very closely on understanding your 10-day sprint to a high conversion season. These are happening tomorrow. I am dropping the link in the chat for you all to RSVP and join them. Some of you from the community should have already received invites also. So make the most of being present tomorrow. Those 3 4 hours would be like a masterclass in everything that you are looking at around marketing, around branding, and diving deep into a lot of these topics with experts from the Zoom Media team. Pratik, thank you so much for doing this. I have made a lot of notes. There's so much I have learned that I want to go back and share with the team. And we look forward to our sessions tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we
Thank
did.
you so much. Thanks, guys. And whatever questions, like Eshta said, I'm available on LinkedIn. Just drop in a question. I love this space, so I'm very happy to get onto calls just to address very quick, 20-30 minute chats. Yeah, and looking forward to staying connected. Thank you so much, Eshta, for doing this. And I
Thank
always
you.
say this that you guys do a great job with your community and happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Take care.